HR tech, work tech, and investment are transforming the future of work. Are you in the know? Welcome to the WorkTech Podcast. Join host George LaRocque for expert insights on the trends, M&A activity, and strategies shaping the workplace. Brought to you by oneworktech.com and the Work Defined Podcast Network.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to WorkTech. It's me, George LaRocque, and got a lot of really interesting ground to cover today. And I'm going to get right into it and welcome our guest for this episode, Bill Mastin. You may know Bill. He's a very successful operator in the work tech and HR tech industry. He's doing some really interesting things now as the CEO of Cadient, and Cadient's doing really interesting things. Bill, welcome.
Wow, George, thank you. Great introduction. Again, as always, it's great to be talking to you and talking a little bit about what the future is going on in work tech. It is probably one of the most amazing times to be in this space in the history of this space. So I'm super excited to kind of unpack all that with you today and tell you about what we're doing. So.
We've both been in the market for a while, and I always tell people, I felt lucky to be through so many transitions. I never would have predicted what we're going through now. So yeah, it's challenging, but I feel like, wow, things are really exciting. I'll say again, and I think we're lucky to have the opportunities in front of us like we do. So
I always kind of think of it as like we're on this side. Like you think about the guys at the Industrial Revolution, like at and they were looking and they couldn't see on the other side of the veil of like what it was going to be like. And I think we're in that phase right now where there's a lot of conjecture, a lot of people talking about, hey, this is what we think it's going to look like or what it's going to actually be like. And it's like you really don't know until we get to this other side. And that's kind of what it feels like to me right now. So super excited to kind of talk through it today.
Cool. Well, let's start. I know you and we've talked about Cadient. I know Cadient, but, tell folks who you are and give us the quick sort of high level, they call it the elevator pitch, sort of what Cadient, who's Bill and what's Cadient?
Cool. So the short version of me is I've been in HR and learning technology companies for my whole career, Saba software for a dozen years. I was at PeopleFluent and Learning Technologies Group, helping kind of acquire companies and turn companies around. I spent about a 5.5-year stint at Topia, which is a niche HR technology company around global mobility and employee location, helps with compliance and tax, location-based tax, state withholding, all those kinds of kind of tricky, kind of icky compliance and tax-related issues. And sold that last March and then joined last year. Late last year to Cadient to take it on its next part of the journey. And, Cadient, I'll just say that Cadient has had a rich history in recruiting technology space. We've got customers that are on our ATS that have been here for, 10 years, 12, 15 years. That being said, kind of the future of Cadient is a pivot, not away from our, we still have the core ATS capability, but it's really AI first. How do we help tools and become an HR solution company for the market that fall into three main categories: recruiting tech, hiring tech, and then retention tech and solutions. So how do you Lego those together to create kind of a comprehensive solution? And you can do things today now that frankly you couldn't do. I mean, it feels almost like back in the day when we were building all these custom solutions, you can, what I'm calling tuning SaaS for the future workforce deployments like that, to, being able to take and Lego together pieces, but then create kind of a tuned solution for a customer that's a very unique thing that we can do now that we couldn't do even 12 months ago at the speed and scale. So a lot of evolution and transformation that's going on at Cadient, but that's kind of probably the short version.
Cool. Yeah. It actually is a great sort of tee up into where I'd like to go, which is that evolution that, it was interesting to me with all your background, and you've hit so many, several parts of the market. You've had some great success when you reached out and you were back in the talent space. And I thought, oh, that's interesting, because you had gone to, learning and mobility.
Right.
And I mean, learning's talent management, but
Yeah.
so I thought there's got to be something interesting here because, I know I know your background, and I know it would have to be interesting
Right.
if you're going to put Cadient next to your name. And I think this evolution from platform to AI first platform,
Mm.
and what that means for the product, but also your ICP and your customers. So what does that look like? Does it look like just becoming what you were with agents, or does it look like, and I kind of know some of the answer here, but I'd like to hear you.
Yeah. So, and just the first part of what you were mentioning. So, the last time I really worked in the recruiting technology space was at PeopleFluent, and we had, it was about a quarter of our business at the time was recruiting technology within that PeopleFluent platform. Topia actually had a sliver that we integrated with that would help recruiters recruit people that were remote, that then they would move people in to market, right? So they'd hire people out of market. And so we integrated with some applicant tracking systems, but we never really, that we weren't in that space. As far as what excited me about Cadient and what that story is really about the ability to take a really differentiated set of solutions to the market that can, be a game changer. And when you take a look at some of the data that now is coming out that suggests that, there's the number of ghost jobs that organizations have on the street are, Forbes says it's 49%, right, of jobs out in the market, and LinkedIn is ghost jobs. And then when you take a look at, and we'll talk a little bit later about some of the what I call is the AI hiring crisis and some of these challenges that recruiters and organizations are trying to navigate now, I think that I kind of tend to be a little melodramatic sometimes, but I kind of tend to think of it as AI fighting AI, and we're giving recruiters and organizations the tools to be able to now combat this kind of avalanche of AI stuff. And it's almost like Godzilla versus King Kong kind of out there battling each other in this, this ecosystem of, and I don't blame the candidates for using the tools of the day to try to find a job, but it's like, how do you then really determine what's real and what's not? And there's a lot of fake. I mean, I've had customers tell me that they've already found candidates that were using deep fakes in interviews. So it's like that. That one customer was like, I guess we're going to have to go back to doing face-to-face interviews in person. And so it's just, it's such a wild time to navigate all of this. And I think Cadient's in a really unique position, not only based because of our history in recruiting tech, but because we have kind of flipped and focused on launching all of these new tools to the market, including referral products and sourcing and screening, conversation, all of those things collectively offer this toolkit that organizations can kind of pick and choose what they need to solve for what their biggest problems are.
Yeah. And who is the ideal customer, or who, who does Cadient target for its solutions?
Yeah. So I think if you take a look at our different kind of legs of the stool, and we have products that are like in our applicant tracking system today, and historically we have gone high volume, and that retail, healthcare, some key verticals that we've got some, large groups of customers in. And that's great. A lot of the tools that we're building now, whether they're traditional kind of, B2B, just we're solutioning with them, or whether we've launched a set of tools, which in the Cadient's first in their history, full free trial, go try the product. If you like it, you can, sign up and use it for a period of time, a month to month, those kinds of tools. Cadient had never done that kind of thing. And so we were trying to, so to me, that's a whole different ICP, and it goes to organizations that are not necessarily high volume can leverage those tools to be very successful. So it's almost a different ICP and different buyer persona per product solution that we're building in some way. So it kind of makes it a little more complicated from that perspective, but we still have these kind of, large, high volume, some of our longest term customers like PetSmart and Genesco. These organizations have been using our technology for years to do all of their hiring.
Yep. So you've had, I think you called it the recruitment pipeline operating system, right? The sort of high volume ATS and platform. And now you've got a series of tools, and it's shifting into more of this, what my notes say is this portable smart suite ecosystem. Correct. And is that plugging into other platforms? Is this
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. So we have customers now that are using our sourcing tools and screening tools that are plugging in and integrating with their existing ATS. So we built it as a modular fashion. So like our Smart Refer product, for instance, is just a referral, employee referral program that that's compliant and helps organizations in a much more efficient fashion than traditional job boards spend, actually get the best candidates from recommendations from their employees. And that's an example of something that is completely separate, independent, and can plug into any ecosystem that's out there.
Okay. So you've got the sourcing, and you talked about screening, interviewing. How many of these, I'm going to call them modules. How many of these modules do you take to market?
Yeah. So what we're trying to do is get feedback from the market, from prospects and customers that are finding these problems as they've in this new world. Get signals, and then where there's real traction, kind of throw everything behind those ideas. So for instance, we had previously in Cadient's history had a referral product. So when we built that, we already had existing customers that had been using our previous product, and we built kind of a brand new version of that. And so we had these signals in that example right from the get-go. And then in other examples, I think we've got on the precipice of delivering we have a general sourcing matching technology that's out there today that we're selling, but we are going to verticalize that and for our healthcare customers. So it's super easy to find nurses for rural hospitals and things like that, to try to take the signals from the market. And as far as how many, I think it's right now, I would say we probably have about 10, live modules on the Smart Suite that are out there kind of in market. And we're at various levels of what I would characterize product market fit. Some of them have one customer, some of them have, 20, 30 customers, some of them have 0 customers. So it's all like just us trying to ideate and find what's going to work and fit in the market.
Wow. Okay. So were you, I think you had mentioned that you're cool showing us some of this stuff and maybe what you want to focus on today.
Yeah. So I want to show you 2 things today, and both of these things are free for the world.
Okay.
So you'll get the links and you'll be able to go see them. But the first thing I'm going to show you is a product we launched, I think 2 weeks ago, called Smart Shield. And what that does is that helps a recruiter validate the resume that they've received against public profiles of individuals. Now, why is that important? It's important because what's happening is, let's say a candidate is going out there and they see 10 jobs they want to apply to. The first thing they do, they pump the job description and they pump the resume into Claude or Chat or whatever their flavor is. And they say, please create a resume that's specific to this job. Then they apply to that job. It's fine. To a recruiter, all of a sudden they have 100 resumes that have come in that all look like unicorns. Like, these are the perfect people, right? So how do you discern what's real and what's not? And it's not that AI is just hallucinating. It is hallucinating and lying, but let's put that to the side.
Right.
It's even if it's just exaggerating a little bit or whatever, what our Smart Shield tool does is it'll go out and validate against their public profile and other reference points where the friction points are, so that the recruiter has a real good sense of whether this is true or not. So I'm going to show you that, and then I'm going to show you something for the organization itself. I'm going to solve the recruiter problem, and then we're going to solve an organization problem. Okay. So let me share my screen and show you how easy this is and apologize in advance about my addiction to tabs. So you'll have to. I have a lot of tabs, and now I've had to group them into organize my tab problem. But so the Cadient.ai Smart Shield is where you go, and you can actually just add it here, and it's a free Chrome plugin. And what I'm going to show you today, I'm actually going to do a real live interview of our an analysis of a resume of one of our product team members and
Okay.
on the engineering team. And basically, what I wanted to show just on this is what we check. So we will look at employers, credentials, public profile cross references, all of these things. We will automate the checking of that. So as a recruiter, all you have to do is go to the site, download the Chrome plugin, and you're going to be able to try this out for free. And there's no charge for it at all. So now let me jump into the actual demonstration. And I'm sorry, I've lost a lot of my demo skills over the years, but I still
You're doing fine.
I can still click around. So Ayush is one of our lead product managers and is based in India, but this is not region specific. So you can really use this because it ties to your resume, to LinkedIn, and to other public places. So once you have the Chrome install, you'll get a Smart Shield button at the top, and I'm going to be able to open the viewer and hit Analyze Resume, and it's that quick, and it's bam.
Wow.
So what I can do is then take a look at this, or what I can do is look at the full report, which looks like this. And so you can get an output which will give the risk categories of this resume based on, their public persona, all of the data on employers and all of that thing, to be able to say, okay, they've checked 8 different things and they flagged 4, and there's one that has been AI generated completely. They caught that. And then they list out the top concerns. So a really easy way for you to get a quick assessment on a resume. It's in the flow of work because you're in your browser, right? Like you can just plug a resume in and say, okay, well, is this really something that is, should I take a call with this person? Should I go through the screening, or is this just complete, fake news?
Right. And I like that it's presenting it back to me. It's flagging it. It's not making a decision. I
Right.
mean, what's critical or what the issue is may be an obvious, choice,
Right.
but you're making the choice. It's giving you back. It's flagging it. It's organizing it. I think that's key, that you're not providing a tool that's, telling them to pass on a candidate, but just telling them what you found.
100%. So that's, in a matter of fact, I think if we
Visionary voices, bold breakthroughs. This is Shally's Alley, where top recruiting minds spill their best kept secrets live every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Raw, unfiltered conversations on sourcing, hiring, and the future of talent, where we ask the tough questions no one else will. Tune in and level up.
Well, we even talk about that in the setup on the page, that we're very, and we have on our website a AI bias report that we generated that talks about our philosophy with using AI to do any of this. And I think a couple of the big lawsuits that are underway right now kind of missed that step, right? They kind of jumped the gun. They either automated a decision tree process, or it didn't ask for consent. That is another thing. So we tried to, solve those problems in any of the tools that we've delivered to the market. To really, our philosophy is to put, the hands on the wheel of a steering wheel, and to give you automatic steering versus you're still driving the car is the idea.
Right.
So
Yeah, really cool. This is such a big issue for everyone in the market. I think this is the fundamental issue that overnight started causing problems. The the fraud problem, it varies, like the deep fakes versus hiring scams. Those are all real and those are all happening. But it's not happening to everyone. The flood of candidates, the AI applies, the homogenization of all the candidates that, trying to stand out and then nobody's standing out because everybody looks the
Right.
same. This is a problem that I hear about, every day. And,
Yeah.
and it's only getting worse, because more tools, not just Claude or ChatGPT, but more candidate facing tools are shipping every day with folks trying to monetize, a challenging job market.
Yeah. And I think it's just going to get, it's an arms race now. It's going to get worse and worse because the new tools. I mean, you saw 6 to 9 months ago the mass hiring tools that kind of hit the market of like people were submitting like hundreds of resumes a day across these. So there was a volume problem, but now then below that now is like a quality problem that they really you know pulled out. So
Yeah. So,
cool.
so this, what's the next thing? Is it
So,
this
so
at
this is,
scale?
yeah, this solves the recruiter problem. So then the
Yep.
next thing that we've just launched, and this is, I don't know when we will go live, but this week we are announcing the release of hiring scorecard .ai. Now, what this is a automated audit process of your recruiting and hiring technology and process. So we actually leverage agents that will go out and kind of test an organization's really entire process, right? And I'm going to show you an audit report. So we built this, we're delivering it to the world for free. Of course, we believe we've got solutions that will help solve these problems, but this is completely independent of Cadient. So you can use this and leverage it however you want, just to test your own as an organization. Where is your sticking points, right? And it might be your candidate portal, it may be your job description, it may be there's a bunch of places that there could be some pain points. So it's as simple as going and plugging in your URL here, and you can get really specific and add the career page if you want to help it try to find that. And what I did was just to kind of do it live is I took a organization that we had just checked out, and of course everyone's hiring locations are open to the public to be able to assess and look at. So you can even rate your organization against other organizations if you want. And what I did is I plugged in this and came up with Musco Lighting and gave an overall score. And then below this, and this will create an entire deck, and you can send it to yourself. But basically, it's this same data that I'm showing you right now. So if you're in a situation where you're looking at, hey, we're not getting the talent that we want as an organization, we're not getting the applications, where's there ghosting going on because we don't have a mobile friendly kind of candidate portal or texting or all those things that kind of help solve some of those problems, and you want to build a business case to say, hey, we need to up our game on how we go to market and recruit talent, you can leverage this tool, create an audit. This is the kind of thing that people would spend a lot of money with, outside firms to come in and kind of look top to bottom their pipeline and how it was. But you can see the things. It texts their ATS. It will give a quality score on time to complete an application.
Wow.
It will look at their screening questions. Of course, we don't have agents yet that will actually go through an interview process. That's a different... Probably a different conversation.
Shopper agent, yeah,
yeah, an actual mystery shopper agent. But
there you go, mystery shopper, yeah.
But this gives you like how many job boards the role has been posted on and what the industry average is, so that you can really take a look at this, and an organization can up their game just by running this report and saying, okay, these are the areas where I think we should focus. Maybe in this case, they should just find, another, 5 boards that they want to post on, or their SEO rank for their career page, those kinds of things. And then again, you can download it as a PowerPoint and present it to your head of HR or whoever would actually approve the budget for you to actually go fix some of these problems.
Yeah. So it looks like a combination of, the experience and experience based on, what's being presented, the process, time, uh, you know, uh, question sophistication. This is all really interesting. But it's also giving me some benchmarks in some areas that I was, when you first started showing it, I was curious about that. And you mentioned it looks at, how many boards would this job normally be on? That's really interesting. Does this, so to do this, this is looking at the whole career site,
Yes.
any job. So is it looking, do you know how many jobs it's sampling in order to come up with these metrics, or?
Well, so it'll take a full look at what it'll do is it'll go back and try to find, some of the historical, like, of what's going on. So like time to fill jobs. Now, this is where it gets really interesting in, a frontline workforce where an organization might have evergreen jobs versus like pure rec jobs for staff. So, there's some nuances here that you have to accept when you try to consolidate and aggregate data that way and dig into it. So it's like anything. It's kind of like, I always think of it as statistics and stories, right? You get the numbers and then you have to try to, figure out, okay, well, and why is that the way it is? But they'll look at all of the job postings on that site and then crunch the numbers. That's a great idea, though, to actually allow it to pinpoint particular jobs, because hard to fill jobs are very different profile than maybe, something that's entry level. Although, entry level jobs, an interesting data point, and, we've got tons of hiring data from our customers, right? And one of the things that we're also talking about is entry level jobs. And entry level jobs, there used to be 1 in 15 entry level jobs with no experience needed. I think that number now is somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 out of 50 jobs.
Okay.
So anyway, so just some interesting data of like how jobs are actually morphing from what they historically have been to, and then looking at that from the lens of this as well. So the jobs are changing, the recruiting technology is changing, AI is changing. It's all kind of like a perfect storm of all of this stuff changing. But this hopefully will be a helpful tool for organizations to at least give kind of a spot check to say, okay, how are we doing? Where are some areas we could focus on?
Yeah. And so how do these tools, these are free tools that anybody can use to start to, a recruiter, looking at, resumes that they're working with, or an organization thinking about their overall, how they stand in the market with their experience and site, so forth. How does this fit, and how does the new this new modular world of agents that you're building, how does this all relate to Cadient's vision? Like, where's this all going?
Yeah, so definitely we've got thought through, how do we obviously give some free tools that help solve some really important problems that need to be solved in the world today for organizations. But then how does, as a company, Cadient kind of continue to grow and sell new products and ideas? And of course, we believe we built some things that solve some of these problems, right? So on the recruiter side, we will surface tools like our sourcing tool or our screening tools, things that actually sit kind of within that scope of control around a recruiter to help them be able to perform better. And of course, they can use the free tool without ever engaging us and buying anything from us. But if they want to, and they want to see how we've solved some of their problems, we love to show them that. And the same thing with Hiring Scorecard. We actually have gone on to say, if an organization runs all this audit and they want to talk to us, and I'll show this. This is an example of, how we have built, custom pages coming out of that to say, okay, here's the problems that your audit produced. And then we'll kind of create this custom solution page. At least what is the first thing they should start with? In this case, we've called out Smart Source as an example that we think could have a big impact on their ability to source talent for the right roles as an example. So that's our sourcing technology. So that's just an example of how we are going to, help to capitalize on some of the free tools that we're launching to the market.
Right. It's really smart. When I think about what you're providing with those free tools, it's, there's a lot to it. But it really, I keep thinking about expertise being the real value that we're now, providing to customers.
Yeah.
And, those aren't examples of you could just go run a prompt and get this information. I mean, it would be a pretty elaborate, but these are things that add value because of the expertise that you've built into it,
Exactly.
that level of value. And, pointing toward where they need help. And I mean, I think that's the world that we're getting into, because if those tools didn't exist, I see a lot of customers, a lot of, TA teams, recruiters, leaders looking for their own tools to sort of analyze what's working well, what isn't. It may be a Claude, it may be agents that they're bringing in, it may be development that they're getting behind internally. So it's a very smart move to provide that sort of level of expertise up front. So
yeah, and I think there's a whole transition that's going on underway with SaaS and software as a whole. Like, I think there's a lot that you go see people that have said SaaS is dead and all of these things. But I think most organizations, they don't want to necessarily, they want to have security. They want to have compliance. They want to have infrastructure that's outsourced. They don't want to necessarily bring all that in-house and have their recruiters vibe coding a recruiting platform, right? Or a recruiting technology. It's I think there'll be some that will do it. There'll be people that will like, I want to do this myself or whatever. But eventually people will realize the value. And so what has SaaS really become is very different in the future from what has been in the past. Honestly, I think, and as part of the tech SaaS market for many years, George, like we've done a bit of a disservice to customers because, we've created one product that fits all customers, or that's what we would tell them. And then we would say, hey, everybody needs to fit into our best practices. And there are best practices, don't get me wrong, but there's also really kind of nuanced, workflow or cultural aspects of an organization that just a plain SaaS platform may overwrite. And so their hiring process or something like that was very kind of nuanced and not. And we would just say, hey, well, no, that can't happen anymore because you have to follow our, workflow and our product because that's the best practice. Really, if I translate that meant we built one product. We didn't want to do tweaks and tuning of that product for a particular customer. And that impacted customers, and I don't think always, sometimes it was positive because sometimes they had really dysfunctional things that they would do. So I don't want to discount that, but sometimes it really did impact them negatively because the kind of thing that made them what they were, the cultural aspect of how they would outbound to customers and our prospects, candidates would get blown away. So my point is that in this new world, we can tune, and I think that'll flow to not only what SaaS will be in the future, but also pricing. Like how we price these things will change. Everything's up. It's a white canvas, and we can, we're going to rewrite what the future of work tech looks like, I think, in the next few years.
For sure. I think a lot, you said it earlier, things that are possible, even plausible now just weren't before, even 5 years ago. And, I remember going to the cloud and taking a lot of big customers to the cloud, you had to, there was a trade-off that had to be made. And that trade-off was we need, we're better for you if we have one code base and it's multi-tenant. And that means we can't do it all for everyone. We've got to sort of look at the 80-20 rule.
Right.
We got to try to build to solve the 80%. And that's always leaving something. That was always leaving something or someone behind.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think intentions were really good, but you're on the money. There was a disservice in that because customization, it was, that was a dirty word. It was,
a dirty word.
Configurability, right?
Yeah, customization. Yeah. And so we were taught never to, it has to fit within this framework, and and it was fascinating too, because there was oftentimes that we would accept enhancements in this process, and we'd build something, and then 6 months later I'd go back to the customer and I'd be like, oh yeah, they're like, we didn't use that, and that would always be like, oh my god, we took our entire product roadmap to fix this for you, and you're not even using it anymore. So but
anyway. If I'm hearing you, and I'm thinking with I'm going to ask about your direction, sort of where things are headed. It sounds like while you've got that, I'll call it system of record, system of consequence on the back end from a platform perspective. It sounds like you're really building out in a much more agentic model. So in the future, a customer may be using, let's say you get to where you've got 10 or 20 agents, modules, and I could be using 3, 4, 5, 17 of those, and how I'm integrating it. It might not be your platform on the back end. It might be, I may be using your ecosystem of capabilities and not moving away from the HCM or the ATS or whatever that is on the back end.
It's absolutely, and it's what we used to talk a lot about strategic HCM versus kind of KRS, and because honestly, these large kind of platforms that organizations buy into, there's still a lot of people that will be like, and we have customers that will use kind of their HCM platform for recruiting maybe their corporate roles, but then they're using us for high volume. So and it's just like when I remember walking into a large tech firm when I was selling and implementing learning management systems, and they were a global tech firm that had 17 LMSs, right? And so they were training customers and training internal and training different business units. So it really is a lot more Darwinian in these kind of ecosystems than that's a whole nother conversation someday. But I absolutely see that we can, help organizations with, like you said, pieces that are modularized that they can plug in and find value, and then, and still continue to grow on our other side too. So
yeah. So where can folks learn more? Where can they follow? What's the best way to follow Cadient? Follow you?
So please look me up on LinkedIn. I'm always available for a chat and happy to talk. Cadient is evolving our front door, just like we're evolving everything else. So we've historically been cadienttalent.com. Our new web address and destination is cadient.ai. Okay. So that's kind of a transformation that's underway as well. Although, we're not leaving behind Cadient Talent. Like it'll be protected and routed correctly and all that stuff. But please look us up and check out what we're doing. I mean, our goal is to continue to innovate and offer these solutions that are helping organizations that are really faced with new problems on this front in a way that they've never really had to face before. So it's a fascinating time to kind of go out and ideate and solution with customers on how do we help them solve these problems.
Yeah, no doubt. And it seems like we're going to need to follow up at some point in the next few months. I'd love to hear about that evolution and sort of and maybe get a look at more of the platform. But
absolutely.
Bill, thanks for telling the story here at WorkTech. Thanks for being here. We'll share all the links, but I know how busy you are, how valuable your time is. I really appreciate your telling the story at WorkTech.
I always enjoy talking to you, George. I love your perspective and look forward to seeing you again at HR Tech this year. So,
all right. Cool. Thanks. I'm looking forward to seeing you as well. And everybody else, thanks for watching or listening wherever you are in the Work Defined network. And until next time.